Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, we'll look at the final numbers for the 2014 Phoenix housing market, and we'll get an update on the legislative session from minority leadership at the state capitol. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. ASU's W.P. Carey School of Business is out with the final figures for last year's Phoenix area housing market. And here now to crunch the 2014 numbers and look ahead to this year is Mike Orr, Director of the Center for Real Estate Theory at the W.P. Carey School. Good to see you again.
Thank you for having me.
You betcha. Well, we got to get you in here because you guys today released the final numbers for 2014. Before we get too deep in the weeds here, overview, thoughts.
Well, 2014 was a bit of a quiet year, a bit disappointing, but it ended with a little bit of fizzle. December was probably the best month of the year in terms of signs that the market's starting to get a little bit more interesting.
And it seems like it will probably get more interesting?
I'm pretty confident that 2015 will be a busier year and a little bit better to be a seller in.
Let's talk about 2014. Median single-family home sales price up, 5.5 some odd percent?
Yeah, 5.4% median price increase over the 12 months. That's a little flattering to the market because the mix moved up market a bit. So with fewer cheaper homes in the market, the median trends up, even if house prices are stable.
Fewer cheaper homes on the market? What's that all about?
There's fewer on the market and fewer selling. It really, the mid-range and the luxury market is dominating the homes that are selling now. 3 years ago, it was all low end, under 150,000 was dominating. So the median was way down at like 110, 120,000 in 2011, and now we're up to 215.
Were those homes purchased by investors and others?
A lot of those were homes that had been through foreclosure and being sold by banks. So there's a few of those still around, but they're really very small numbers now.
As far as the single-family homes, though, from 204,000 to 215,000.
That's right.
Average price per square foot up as well?
Yes, but not by an enormous amount. A couple of years ago, we were seeing increases of 20%, 25%. Now we're talking about 3, 4, 5%. It's much more back to normal. Really.
And that's understandable?
Yes. And it was really in the townhouse and condo market where we saw more of an increase, and that was what really caught my eye in December.
And I want to get to the townhouse and condo market in a second, but as far as sales volume for these single-family homes, sales volume.
The sales volume was just up about 3% year over year, so it was an improvement, but not very significant.
So what does it all say now about the single-family home market?
Well, we've been waiting for demand to actually show some signs of life, and December suggested we may be seeing a little bit. We've seen things like the reduction in the mortgage interest premium for FHA loans. We've seen lower down payments introduced by Fannie and Freddie, but they haven't come into effect until this year. So not expecting to see the results of that probably until we get February's numbers. Okay,
now let's get to townhouses and condos. Median price up 15%?
Yes, that was rather more impressive than the single family number. The first reason for that is Scottsdale townhomes and condos were a big part of December's numbers. So when Scottsdale's doing well, the whole number gets better because they sell for higher prices than the rest of the valley. But the overall quantity of sales was up more. So basically a really good month for the attached home market.
So that sales volume was up as well? Not just in Scottsdale?
Not just in Scottsdale, across the board, but Scottsdale had the largest increase.
So why are we seeing this? Is this baby boomers wanting to lock and leave? Is this millennials finally finding their first place, but they don't want to rake leaves?
A little bit of both, I think, and maybe some other reasons too. But there's certainly baby boomers, many of them similar age to me, kids having left, gone to college, no longer living at home. You don't need a big single family home anymore. And particularly if you're not feeling quite as fit as you were, you don't want to be raking leaves or doing all the maintenance work yourself. And one of the advantages of a condo is, it's far less maintenance to do. Mind you probably have to pay an HOA fee to have everything looked after, but at least you don't have to do it yourself.
So basically the whole downsizing thing that we saw and continue to see, downsizing in single-family homes. Actually, some of that downsizing is now hitting the townhouse and condos.
I think so, and also, as you mentioned, the millennials, if they are starting to move out of rentals, many of them are having kids much later in life, so a small condo is going to be attractive, particularly if it's well placed next to restaurants, good shopping, and that sort of thing.
Is there a thought that there may be a rush away from some of these places once those millennials do start families?
I think they'll probably be replaced by younger ones. You know, people cycle through. Once you start a family, then you tend to find an apartment ends up being too small. You want to move out to a place where the kids can run around in the back and you can keep pets. So it's not like single families homes are going to go out of style. But I think the millennials, you know, as they get into their late 30s, will probably start moving out and be replaced by younger still.
So I want to get to the rental market in a second here, because there are a lot of apartments out there, a lot of rentals. Will some of these apartments especially be tempted to turn into, we saw that before where apartments turned into condos.
Yeah, that was not such a great experience, because a lot of those projects were happening just as the recession really bit, and they ended up only half complete. So, you know, trying to shut down one of those things in the middle is difficult legally and financially. So I think people are not going to rush into creating condos in a hurry this time. However, the people who are selling attached homes in great locations are finding lots of buyers. They're selling very quickly, and so I think that's going to start. Everyone's going to start looking at what's going on and say, well, maybe I should get a piece of that.
As far as the townhouses and these condos, is it mostly in urban areas?
Mostly, yes. I mean, if you go into Pinal County, there's just a very small handful of attached homes there. They're mostly either single family or mobile homes. But in Tempe, in Scottsdale, Phoenix, and Fountain Hills, for example, they're all areas where you see quite a lot of apartments and condos.
Interesting. Okay, let's get to the rental market. Still strong.
Market for rentals is extremely strong, and in fact, December had the lowest vacancy number for multifamily that we've seen in Phoenix ever. So, you know, if you're looking for a rental, there's not a lot of choice and a lot of competition, which is forcing rents up, of course.
How much?
Somewhere between 5 and 8%. I measure it month to month, compare it with the previous year, and it bumps up and down. But I would say you need to allow for at least 5% when you come to renew your lease, and that's what the landlord's likely to be asking for.
And if you are thinking of getting a home, getting out of that rental, and you're thinking, there's so many foreclosures out there, I can pick my pick of the litter. There are not that many foreclosures.
No, the foreclosures are down, and the supply is adequate for the current level of demand because the demand is low. But if demand picks up this spring, as I suspect it will, then supply could quickly become quite short.
What is the Canadian factor on our Phoenix area real estate market?
Well, for many years, the Canadians have been buying up our real estate, doing more than their fair share, really. And they were attracted here because, well, A, they do like the sunshine, particularly in the winter. And B, the Canadian dollar has been strong up until very recently. So you got a lot of home for your Canadian money. That's changed in the last 4 months. You know, the Canadian dollar, along with just about every other currency, except for the Swiss franc, has really dived compared with the US dollar. So we have become much more expensive to Canadians than we were just the middle of last summer.
So we're not seeing the sales, are we?
The demand is down. It's not as down as much as you might think, but I think what you'll find is a few of the existing Canadian owners may say, well, time to cash in and sell that home I bought a few years ago because it's appreciated quite nicely anyway. And then when you convert it to Canadian dollars, it's going to appreciate even more.
So that's something we might see in 2015. What else? What are you foreseeing?
I'm thinking we're going to see a significant increase in demand at the sort of lower mid-range than we've had last year. We had a pretty disappointing year, mainly because there just didn't seem to be that many buyers. There were plenty of lookers, people going to see the new home subdivisions, walking around the sales office, but not signing the contracts. And it looks to me like people are getting a bit more serious. Lots of activity in credit repair. And once you get through credit repair, loan applications, I think, will be up. And then records of people signing contracts to buy. we're going to see an increase. The question is, will it be a big one or just a moderate one?
So all in all things considered here, is this a healthy market?
Yeah, I think we're getting back to healthy. We're pretty balanced at the moment, but a little lightweight. If we just get back to maybe 10%, 15% more volume, we'll have really what I would consider to be a very normal and ideal market. Let's hope it stays that way for a while.
All right, very good. Good to have you. Good to see you
Thank you very
again.
much.
We want to hear from you. Submit your questions, comments, and concerns via email at arizonahorizon@asu.edu.
Each month during the legislative session, we hear from the state legislature's majority and minority leadership. The Senate President and Speaker of the House are set to join us Wednesday. Tonight, we welcome Senate Minority Leader Katie Hobbs and House Minority Leader Eric Meyer. Good to see you both back. Thanks so much for joining us. A lot of things going on. Let's start with just in general terms, the impact of Democrats so far this session. Any at all? What's going on down there?
Well, we're trying to stop some bad bills, and we've been successful a couple times. We'll see what happens when the budget comes around. We haven't started really looking at that yet.
As far as the impact of stopping what you consider bad bills, more or less than the last session? What are you seeing?
The flow has been kind of slow, so we haven't seen as many bad bills on the floor yet. So
it sounds to me like they're not seeing many bills at all right now. Is that true?
Yeah, they're all in committee this week. So this is the last week to hear Senate bills in Senate committee. So we'll get a slew next week, I'm sure.
Same thing for you in the House?
Yeah, it's been an interesting dynamic because it's like everything waited until the Super Bowl left town. And now this is the last week to hear bills in the House. And all of a sudden our committees are packed with bills. Some of them don't seem to make much sense to me, but they're moving. And on the other hand, we're going to be tackling some pretty serious issues like in Health Committee for me tomorrow.
Well, and is there a Democratic agenda? We'll start with the House. Is there an agenda? Is there some, I mean, again, because we realize that you guys just don't have the power right now. Can you have an agenda without the power?
Absolutely, absolutely. And you know, if you look back at the last 2 years, we've been pretty successful because we had bipartisan solutions to Medicaid expansion, the budget 2 years ago, and last year in the budget negotiations. And our bills tend to move a little later than the Republicans because they have control over assigning them, but our bills are starting to move through committees now. Our agenda is absolutely to fund our schools, both at the K-12 level and university level. And you know, the governor has huge cuts in his budget to education, and we're united in opposition to that. Funding the inflation funding lawsuit, the $330 million a year that our voters have approved and that our schools need to, and our kids need to be successful, is another, and then job creation. So we're looking at those bills that will have an impact on bringing jobs to our state.
Again, as far as the Senate is concerned, is there a specific particular agenda, overriding agenda, and how far along is that agenda?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo what Eric said. Really, it's about our schools and funding education. And I think that that is what Arizonans want. And unfortunately, we're not seeing that from the majority at all. So
what are you doing about that?
Well, we're talking to folks and making sure that Arizona knows that Governor Ducey's budget underfunds education. There's not new money for the classrooms, and that he's shortchanging our schools on what the state owes them from the settlement lawsuit.
As far as education is concerned, right now the big brouhaha is between the governor and the superintendent of public instruction. Your thoughts?
You know, I think it's really unfortunate because I think it distracts from what's really important, and we have major issues in facing our state, particularly in the arena of education. And so I think it's unfortunate because it's a distraction and takes attention away from where it really needs to be.
Any thoughts as to, first of all, the fight, and secondly, who's right, who's wrong?
Great question. You know, I think it is unfortunate that this is playing out at the top levels of government in our state. Our goal should be to stay off late night TV, and this is getting us back there again. I think it was wrong for Diane Douglas to fire those employees. On the flip side, I think she may be upset about the cards she has been dealt by the governor. If she truly believes in making our state a better place for our kids to be educated, we need to invest in education, and this governor isn't doing that. So, you know, I think that fight's going to continue unless something changes.
Do you think that she wants the legislature to clarify who actually runs that board and who has the decision-making process over the board? You ready to help her figure that out?
No, I don't think that's going to be happening at the legislative level. You know, that isn't our job. If they're going to fight it out in the courts and that branch of government, and we'll see what they potentially decide. Or if my hope is that they can just come to an agreement and move past this and begin to focus on the things that are important to Arizonans out there, rather than fighting.
But why wouldn't it be your job? I mean, if it does help clarify the situation, if it keeps the fighting to a lower level, why not go ahead and try and find a statutory way of getting this done?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is some conflict in the two different statutes that were cited, but so there is potentially a legislative fix to that. But honestly, we shouldn't have to be spending our time doing that. We should be able to focus on the things that are really more important.
Yeah, and when the superintendent of public instruction came out with this response that everyone has been quoting, including us here quite a bit, are there things you agree with her on? The idea of charter schools having a little too much impact and not enough funding for schools. I mean, that's what she was saying.
Sure. I wondered which Democratic operative wrote her press release, some parts of it at least, but I don't know that I would have kind of thrown it out in that manner, but certainly there were things I agreed with. I think that she's been really clear, though, in her agenda from day one is to get rid of Common Core, and this is kind of throwing another obstacle in the face of that.
Did she have some points that you agreed with?
Yes. You know, we're underfunding our schools. We've made over $4 billion in cuts in the last 6 years, and it's time to begin restoring those. I think we're at a point in our state where we have lots of charter schools without a lot of oversight or a plan moving forward. So when we have hundreds of charter schools and they're opening up right next door to our neighborhood school, is that the best use of our tax dollars? So I think, you know, people are starting to think and question, when we have tight budgetary times, we want to make sure we're spending our dollars wisely and we're getting the biggest bang for our buck.
With all that in mind, is the superintendent someone that Democrats can work with?
Well, we'll have to see. You know, it's funny. I sit on Appropriations Committee as well, and her team came to testify, but she didn't say a word. Michael Bradley testified for her, which is unusual, at least in the time I've been on Appropriations Committee. So my hope is, we're always willing to meet and work forward, and if we can find shared things that we can do to make the state a better place for our kids, we're definitely open to that.
What do you think about that, working with the Republican superintendent of public instruction?
Yeah, I mean, she has not reached out to my caucus for help and support on her agenda, but we'd be happy to work with her on any areas that are shared. So,
what do you think of the governor firing the head of a DCS and getting a new guy in charge?
It was surprising, and I've been an advocate for consistency, and you know, this is a young agency, and staying the course is probably the best, but that's not in my purview to decide. And so I think that the mission of the agency is so critical that we just need to work together and make sure that they're able to do what they're supposed to do. And so I'm looking forward to working with Director McKay and making sure that DCS has the resources they need to keep our kids safe.
So when the governor says that DCS needs a new direction and a new focus, do you agree?
I did not necessarily agree with that choice, but again, it wasn't mine to make, and so we need to work with what's there and make sure that he's successful.
Do you think that was a good move by the governor?
Well, the agency is brand new. Director Flanagan had just been there a little over a year. He's been very engaged and started to make steps in the right direction, upgrading the technology so that the agency could be more responsive, beginning to invest in those preventative services that keep kids out of the system. He worked through the entire backlog that was there. So he'd been making progress, and from everything we had heard at the legislature, he was doing a good job. I don't know what Governor Ducey based his decision on, but he changed at a very early time in the course of that agency, and my hope is that this new director can continue down that path. And for our caucus, I think it's critical that we invest in those preventative services, because other states have seen their numbers of kids entering the system and those kids in foster care drop, and Arizona is still seeing them go up, so we need to turn that corner.
Do you think, regarding the foster care situation, we've got about a minute or so left here, but do you think too many kids are being removed from homes?
Yes, absolutely. I think that we've seen an increase, but I don't know where you can point the finger on that. DCS is a brand new agency, and 6 months is a very short time to turn around some of the issues that they were dealing with. So I don't know where the issues there lie, but yeah, it is a high number, and we should be concerned about it.
You concerned about that?
Oh, absolutely. But what we do know is that investment in preventative services that keep parents, give parents the ability to have child care, that give parents the ability to feed their kids, that give parents to get off drug and alcohol. We know that if we would invest in those programs, we would see the numbers drop. So we just need to make that commitment and move in that direction.
Real quickly, we also know that if you keep some of those kids in those homes too long, you know what breaks loose.
Yeah.
So there's a balancing act there, correct?
Yep. It's not a fun one. So they have a critical mission, and we need to make sure that they have the resources to make the right choices.
All right, thank you both. Good to see you both
Absolutely.
again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Get the inside scoop on what's happening at Arizona PBS. Become an 8 Insider. You'll receive weekly updates on the most anticipated upcoming programs and events. Get the 8 Insider delivered to your email inbox. Visit azpbs.org to sign up today.
The City of Phoenix is designating February as Graffiti-Free Phoenix Month. It's a move that includes calling on individuals and groups to help wipe out graffiti. Producer Christina Estes and photographer Kyle Mounts have the details.
We have 334 homes here. We have single-family homes and townhomes. It's an older community. We have a lot of mature landscaping. The trees are so beautiful. It's just this neat little oasis right in the center of town.
But sometimes ugliness creeps into Nancy Blabe's neighborhood.
Because we are right next to an easement behind us, there's a lot of foot traffic that can take place back there. And unfortunately, that can also be seen as a big place that's dark with not a lot of activity, great for tagging.
Every year, the city of Phoenix spends more than $2 million on its Graffiti Buster program. That only covers 16 workers and the equipment used by the Neighborhood Services Department.
You have to think about all the other entities that are removing graffiti. Parks Department, Streets Department, Public Works Department, Aviation, all the other city departments. Then you start thinking about the public entities, SRP, APS, the businesses, the people that never report it. It just goes on and on into a very expensive proposition.
Bruce Nelson manages the Graffiti Buster program. He says the issue runs deeper than aesthetics.
If you're a business and you're trying to generate people to come into your business and there's graffiti on your property or nearby, often people will drive by, and therefore you're hurting businesses and future jobs.
Nelson says there are 2 types of graffiti vandals: taggers who leave their personal marks, and gang members who mark their territory.
Most people cannot tell a tagger from a gang. So if my house or my property is tagged, why? Who did this? Are they trying to send a message?
It makes me crazy.
Nancy Blabe is sending her own message.
I'm a blight buster.
She spends 8 hours a month volunteering as a blight buster.
It's one thing to see what's around us, and it's easy to expect someone else to do that. But I think that there's a lot of personal satisfaction in being that person who contributes to the cleanup and to keeping your community nice.
While volunteers and city workers arm themselves with paint, The city also runs a reward program where anonymous callers who report graffiti vandals can earn cash if it leads to someone being caught.
The typical person that does tagging is usually a teenage boy. They start about 7th or 8th grade, and sometimes if they don't have an intervention, they'll continue this behavior into their adulthood, and it almost becomes an addictive behavior.
Without tips and volunteers, Nelson says the city could never cover so much graffiti. That's why they provide the training, tools, and thanks.
I've been in other volunteer programs, and sometimes you just kind of feel like you're investing your time, you're investing your energy, you know, who cares? But the people who are in place with this program, they touch base with us, they email us, the staff are super nice, they're very responsive, they get us the things that we need so that we know that what we're doing matters.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.